Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Knockout Podcast, episode 36.
Hello, everyone. How are we doing?
Yeah. Well, we come to you on the first day of lockdown 2.0. Nothing much has changed for me and Jack. Jack's still working. I'm still at uni, which seemingly I can still do. But yeah, we'll try and provide a bit of light relief for people who are returning to not being able to do anything.
Yeah, well, yeah. Hopefully we can entertain.
And what better to do it with than a couple of bang average, if not worse, cards?
Yeah, well, I'd give the past weeks as bang average, and then this upcoming weeks is probably below average. So yeah, you've got that to look forward to.
So yeah, to raise your spirits, we shall bring you
bang average.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, we'll start with yeah, exactly. We'll start with Anderson Hall on the card that happened on the weekend. Can look forward to Santos Teixeira, which to be fair I think will be a good fight, and the rest of that card, which is so to say the least. So yeah, we'll start with this weekend. Do you wanna start at the top and work our way down, or work our way out?
Yeah, let's start at the top.
Go on then. Okay. Uriah Hall defeats Anderson Silva, 4th round TKO. Yeah, sort of really what we expected. I mean, didn't really expect much from Anderson Silva. It was sort of a pretty deflating way to lose, just sort of charging in, getting caught, and not having much of a chin. But that's sort of what we've come to expect from an Anderson Silva who's won once in 7 years.
Yeah, it's like, in a way, I feel like you can still see some of the things that made him Anderson Silva. He's just so slow now. Like, it's crazy how slow he looks. So he just can't pull off the things that made him great, which were like really kind of reactive head movement and counters. Yeah. He just doesn't have them anymore. So he's forced to kind of like go on the lead, which he was never that good at. I mean, obviously he was good, but like it was not his strong suit. And he just doesn't look the same. And he just kind of he charged in fairly recklessly. He got dropped at the end of round 3, did he?
Yeah, I think he did.
Well, I remember. Was it? I can't remember it. Was it fairly similar to how he got knocked out in the end? I thought it was.
I think it was pretty similar. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was. Yeah, it was just like he tried to get aggressive, kind of, really push forward. Got clipped with the right hand, and then Hall finished him. Hall looked a bit. Yeah, he looked like okay, but like it wasn't a. It's one of those. I feel like Adesanya kind of had the same effect when he fought Silva. It's like there's almost a point where you can like respect your opponent too much. And I feel like that was definitely true with Adesanya and probably true with Hall here. So like he looked okay and showed that he was dangerous, certainly, but like not a blow your socks off performance.
Yeah, certainly not what he would have hoped to have put on. That's the thing. It's like, I say not what he'd hoped to put on. I think, to be honest, the fight went exactly as it is. It's like, it's the thing. People know that, I guess, even in, back in his day, all he wanted to do was sit back and have you come on to, have the other fighters come on to him. Now, everyone knows the playbook on Anderson Silva. It's like, there's no point charging onto him, especially now in his old age. If he's charging towards you, as you say, he's not got the speed, he's not got the chin, and you can just sort of eventually take sort of easy pickings, and that's really what Uriah Hall did. Just sort of waited for Anderson Silva to come to him, stayed tight, and got the knockout. But yeah, I mean, it's a shame. Like his style is one that like you can't, like, unless you evolve it. It's one that is just going to deteriorate massively as you get older. I mean,
yeah, like when the reactions go.
He's 45 years old. His reactions are not what they were 8 years ago. And it's like his style is just completely adverse to fighting successfully into your older age.
Which, like, even with that style, he did very well. Like in his prime, he was in his mid-30s, which at that point you'd still think that they'd start to deteriorate, like some of his reactions. So like he's obviously done very well for a long time with it. It's just that, like he is so old at this point. Like 45 is just, I don't know. How old was like Randy Couture when he won the championship? I don't know, but different styles obviously. But there aren't many older fighters on the whole roster, so I don't know if there are any actually at this point. He might be the oldest one. So yeah, he just like, I think has he like officially retired? I don't know.
Well, I mean, I think it's the last fight in the UFC. I think he sort of made clear, you know, the MMA retirement didn't even last before the fight. I think he went on air with Hawani's and was saying it's my last fight in the UFC, hinting that he will fight somewhere else and someone else will pick him up and give him a fight. Yeah. You know, as he said, you know, he showed in that fight enough that he's got, you know, some stuff to the point. You know, I always mention the BJ pen. He's not in the BJ pen where it's like it's actually dangerous if he fights.
Yeah, like I could see him fighting again, but I kind of wish he would retire.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Like, but obviously, like if he fights again somewhere else, I'll probably watch it at some point. I'd get round to watching it at least. But I'm just like, I'm not that bothered, and it'd be nice to just see him kind of go out without, taking too much damage. Like he's been knocked out a few times now, but like they've never been like certainly recent. They haven't been like brutal knockouts. So like I feel like he can walk away without too much damage, and that'd be nice. But if he wants to continue fighting, that's up to him. But
yeah, I mean, and then if we sort of move to Uriah Hall, as we said, it's certainly not like a overly impressive performance, but he gets the job done. I don't for any second really. I mean, he's on a 3-fight win streak. I don't really still see why he's number 9 in the middleweight rankings, given that he's lost his wins are Shoeface, Bevan Lewis, and Anderson Silva. I don't really know why that sort of puts him up there at number 9. I think there's a lot better people in that division who will beat him. So
it's kind of just one of those things that if he's winning, you can, like he's not going to move down. But like none of these wins justify a move up, which he moved over Chris Weidman, I suppose, in the newest rankings. Which
is Weidman 10 already?
Yeah, Weidman's 10.
That middleweight division is not deep, is it?
It's not like, it's not great. Like it is the last good division realistically, but it's still not amazing.
Yeah, I mean it's got like the top like 4 to 5 are good.
Yeah, it's very top heavy. Like I'm looking at like 1 to 6 are all very good fighters generally. Well, champion and then 1 to 6. So like Adesanya and then Whitaker, Costa, Cannonier, Hermanson, Romero, Till. Like that's a solid.
I'd put Gastelum in there as well if he's
Gastelum,
not as a title contender, but like a guy who can have good fights.
Yeah, and on his day when he turns up, he can be good.
Yeah,
but a bit hit and miss with Gastelum. But yeah, after that, it does kind of drop off. And to be fair, though, I think Jacare actually isn't ranked at this point. So he's another one that's good fun. I don't know why Jacare isn't ranked.
Maybe he's been taken off. He's not fought in a while.
Yeah, he did. Because he had that venture up to light heavyweight.
Yeah.
But in the absolutely terrible fight.
Oh, what a fight that was.
Against the light heavyweight champion.
Yeah, we all remember that classic.
So yeah, that's probably why. But yeah, it's not amazing. But it's still better than light heavyweight, obviously. But yeah, what are you going to do?
That's about it. Yeah, not the greatest, but he went out not in a terrible way. We'll move swiftly on to the co-main. Bryce Mitchell, Andre Fili. Fun fight, unanimous decision win for Bryce Mitchell. We sort of knew coming in it was going to be a fun fight. They're both like exciting fighters. Yeah. I thought Andre Fili, did really well in defeat. I was really impressed in the way that Bryce Mitchell is just going to keep coming at you for those takedowns. But I thought the amount of times Fili could bump Mitchell off and get back to his feet was impressive.
Yeah, I think I was impressed by obviously both guys in this. I think that Mitchell, I said coming in that I didn't really know, like I hadn't paid that much attention to him on the feet, but I think he's like sneakily kind of good on the feet. He's like at least fairly crafty enough to get by. And then yeah, Feely was, can't remember if it was the first or second round. Like he knew Mitchell was coming in, and he timed him well with a
Yeah, I
flying.
think that was second. Yeah.
Yeah, he caught him well with that, and then yeah, he did a fairly decent job, kind of scrambling back up at points as well. Mitchell certainly didn't look as dominant on the ground as he has against previous opponents.
Yeah, I certainly couldn't pin Feely down. Which, I mean, I think was it the Charles Rosa one that he won, like 30, like 26 or so. Yeah, he won 30-25, 30-25, 30-24, and he basically just had Charles Rosa on like a twister for like
Yeah, for half
10 minutes.
Yeah, but yeah, Mitchell he is continuing to develop on the ground, but you can tell like compared to some of like the best grapplers, like he takes kind of inspiration from Khabib, but he is kind of doesn't have the kind of crushing pressure that Khabib does. People are able to kind of like get out from underneath Mitchell. Also, I feel like Bryce Mitchell obeys kind of like the classic hierarchy of like BJJ positions more than Khabib does, in a way that probably isn't good for MMA. Like you'll always see Mitchell going for, like, he'll really like try and get to mount. Whereas if you watch Khabib, he prefers half guard, and like Daniel Cormier has talked about this, that a lot of the AKA guys prefer half guard. They feel like it's kind of like a more secure position. You have your weight on them a little bit more, whereas from mount, it offers a few more scrambling opportunities.
Yeah, and certainly what you were seeing with Feely was he was sort of getting himself near the cage and sort of using his legs to sort of spring up and just push. I remember in the third round, he did a really nice one, which sort of bumped him up from his like hips, pushed Feely off, pushed Mitchell off, and then scrambled over and was on top.
Oh
And then got up.
yeah, that was nice as well. Actually, you see that every now and again. It is cool when that happens.
So yeah, I think as you say, yeah, in those cases, if he's not, when he's in mount, he's not pinning them down enough, then there is opportunities for them to spring up. The problem is that he's then so good at getting them back down again.
Yeah, he's not like, and he does try and do some of the things Khabib does. Like you saw him, I think from the first takedown, he tried to like triangle the legs like Khabib does. He had a little bit of success with it, although not a great amount. It's a work in progress essentially. But he's not quite as good at, say, like compared to Usman. I mean, we're comparing him to great grapplers here, like compared to Usman and Khabib. Khabib the best grappler ever. He's not as good at bringing them like the mat returns against the cage. Like if they can scramble up against the cage, they can get out. Whereas against Khabib and Usman, if you scramble up against the cage, that's still just the beginning. They've got a hold of you. They're almost certainly going to take you back down again. So yeah, he's a work in progress, but beat a very good fighter here in a good fight.
Yeah, I always think Andre Feely is like a really good placeholder in that division. What's the guy? A gatekeeper. I think you look at the guys who he's lost to. He's been. I mean, you forget how long he's been in the. I mean, he's been in the UFC for 7 years, and you look at the guys he's lost to. Holloway, Yair, Cater, Johnson, Sadiq Youssef, who's a cracking up on cover, and now Bryce Mitchell. He's not losing to anyone else other than guys who are going into sort of the top 10.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, yeah, that's basically. He's just like, yeah, he's a good, solid fighter. Good fundamentals, and he is improving as well.
Yeah.
Even now, like he's not old. He's been in the UFC for a while, but he's still got time to develop. He's 30.
Yeah.
So yeah, certainly still got more to give. And Bryce Mitchell is improving at quite an alarming rate. Like he's only 26, and like the developments from his early UFC fights compared to like the Charles Rosa and now the Feely fight are like shocking.
Yeah.
Like, so much better in the space of like 2 years, essentially. So yeah, I really am interested to see how Bryce Mitchell looks going forward.
I mean, that featherweight division just gets stacked and stacked. Yeah. I mean, there's just so many guys. You've got the settled sort of 6, that sort of top 6, but you've got Bryce Mitchell, Sadiq Youssef, Arnold Allen's another one that springs to mind.
Yeah.
I mean,
Shane Burgos did get
Shane
recently,
Burgos,
but it's still
Emmett,
quite fun.
who's
Emmett,
still
who looks
sort of breaking
fantastic
in.
against Burgos.
Dan Ige to an extent. I don't think Dan Ige's gonna get the top, but he's another guy mixing it in and around that sort of. There's so many fights. I think it's like it's one of those divisions where I can't remember who I think it might have been Luke Thomas or tweet out. This is like 145 matchmaking is just pick any two people in the top 15. It's a banging fight.
Yeah, literally, like you cannot make a bad fight out of that top 15. I don't think it's such a good division.
So yeah, I mean, there's cracking fights, and yeah, as you said, he's getting a lot better. We'll see where he goes from here. The only downside, I don't know whether you saw it, was his post fight comments, which without wishing to stereotype, a camo wearing white man from Arkansas was asked his opinion on mask wearing. Needless to say, he proved that perhaps sticking to fighting, which is and I don't like that statement at the best of times, but saying that they should have specific restaurants where people can not wear masks and some where they can wear masks, and saying that if your mask works so well, why do I need to wear one?
I actually haven't I've been needing to listen to it because I saw like people reacting to it, but also in a way didn't want to put myself through it.
Yeah, you just want to pause it every 10 seconds. Go, no, that's not how it works.
But yeah,
we'll move on.
It's MMA. What you like?
Exactly. We have a long and very very detailed list of MMA fighters and not the best views. We'll move swiftly on. Greg Hardy, Maurice Green. This is the one that tick the box for the weekly Ben Acker killer. I did not go for Maurice Green, but I did go Greg Hardy by decision.
Oh, what you doing?
Terrible
call.
I know when it finished, but I thought what I was thinking is we could just get like a Jorgen De Castro. Like I just thought they might just circle. I got greedy because I had Kevin Holland to win, and I had Bryce Mitchell Feely to go to a decision. I didn't pick a side, and I was like, okay. Greg Hardy. I knew to win. I was like, go on, let's just. I just bit off more than I could chew. I got greedy with it, but it's a shame.
That's the weekly edition of Ben's Acker Killer.
Yeah. I saw the fight. I mean, the fight went exactly how I thought it was going to go, which is it was going to be slow, winging shots. I just thought that they'd just tire themselves out and no one would get the knockout blow.
You didn't expect that Maurice Green would be dropped by a jab?
The worst thing was I saw the result before I watched it, and I was like. And then I watched oh, for God, if you're going to go out, if you're going to ruin my Acker, do not let it be to a jab.
Yeah. Just the terrible knockout. It was really weird, though, because it was also like a bad jab, but also it being a bad jab probably made it more powerful.
Honestly, it was
like as a jab, it failed in the function of a jab, but it was more like it was half jab, half uppercut.
Yeah,
it was just like a weird janky shot that just managed to be powerful enough because he's like a ridiculous athlete. And then Green was just on his ass.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, Maurice Green. I mean, let's just get him one more fight and get him out of there. To be honest, I
don't know. He's not great. But then again, it's heavyweight. I thought he did some I'm going to say he did some interesting things. Not really. No, he didn't do interesting things, but he did some things. I think he landed one counter jab or right hand to Greg Hardy at the end of the first round. I thought, oh, that was cool. And he kicked Greg Hardy a few times. But then no, he didn't do interesting things. I'm lying. It's not great. It's heavyweight.
Not great. I mean, didn't see much from Greg. It's this is the thing. Greg Hardy, it's which I still can't place him because it's look at the guys he's got wins over. Juan Adams, Jorgen De Castro. I'm not even going to try and pronounce that Dimitri's surname, but and then Maurice Green. But then as soon as he stepped up, he took that short notice fight against Volkov and just got like, dealt with. So it's like he's clearly not ready for anyone in that sort of top 10, but he's not really fighting anyone who you can he's not fighting anyone or showing anything that makes me think this is really going to go somewhere. The places that the UFC are keen to sort of see him go.
And honestly, like, we talked about the shocking and phenomenal improvement of Bryce Mitchell recently. Like, he just doesn't really. Maybe it's all in his like defensive ground game or defensive wrestling he's improving in. I imagine they're probably doing a lot of work on that. But like on the feet, he just doesn't look to be really getting better. Like from his fifth fight, like even like if you were to watch the like first fight he had on the Contender Series, like he looks.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like he just doesn't really look any better.
It's like the technique, like the physique. Like, I've obviously cut weight, but I've got to think that if he came in 10 pounds lighter, even something like that, that's got to help. I mean, he's carrying so much weight.
I don't know. I don't know. It's weird. It's like because he is just like a naturally really big guy, and he is like he's
got to work on his cardio because it's like
cardio does struggle. But I don't know. It's just that I just don't ever think Greg Hardy is going to be a thing.
Yeah.
Like he's never going to be. I just don't ever see him being a good fighter. Like there is more to being a fighter than just like
being big
or big. The big. Yeah. Although being the big at heavyweight can carry you a long way.
Yeah.
This is true. Essentially, ask Derek Lewis or Francis Ngannou, but they're still slightly better fighters. Well, quite a lot better. But yeah, I just don't ever think that unless he goes through some like crazy growth, like some crazy development recently or soon, I don't see him ever going anywhere. So I think just kind of a failed experiment, and like everyone kind of looks bad coming out of this. So yeah, that's cool.
That's about it for the Greg Hardy chat. Kevin Holland defeating Charlie Ontiveros in quite weird circumstances, like slammed him to the mat, and it was a
very really
grunt and a verbal submission. I still like, sort of in a similar vein to Greg Hardy. I still don't really know where I stand with Kevin Holland because there's been so many late replacement fights. Him just stepping in to fight guys and on short notice. He's got good wins. He's got, it's fair. I've actually just seen he's got a win over Jeff Neal.
Yeah, although
I know that was a while ago.
Bigger than Jeff Neal.
But
a while ago.
He needs to. And I've just seen his first fight in the UFC. He was against Thiago Santos.
Back when Santos was still a middleweight, yeah, crazy.
Yeah, but we'll see with him. I mean, I don't know why Adesanya was in the arena, but yeah, I called out Adesanya. Obviously, that's not going to happen.
Not going to happen.
Like, I think he looks good, and like he is now the king of the king of the quarantine because the fighter beneath him, Bobby Green, lost, so he's 4-0. He's leading the way for lockdown records. And yeah, we'll see what happens from next. Ontiveros, I'm sure, will not fight again in the UFC, but that's by the by.
I don't know. I think like Ontiveros is a welterweight, and based on like the look of it, like Kevin Holland did just like absolutely ragdoll him, like basically from start to finish. As soon as Kevin Holland got his hands on him, you could just chuck him around like a little baby. So I like. Apparently, Ontiveros is like wants to drop down to welterweight, and I think he's teammates with Adesanya actually.
Okay.
I think he did like because Adesanya like gave him a big shout out after the fight. It was like took the fight on 3 days' notice, not at your like natural weight class, and then like injured your neck in the fight. I think is what happened. Yeah, he could do. I feel like they'll give him a shot. Like the UFC generally like. If you take a fight on short notice and you lose, they generally give you a shot after, unless you look absolutely cool. And like, I mean, obviously he didn't look great, but like, he just got battered, didn't he? And he didn't really have time to show what he can look like.
So yeah, we'll move on. Last fight on the main card: Jago Moises, Bobby Green. Yeah, as I mentioned, the Bobby Green quarantine run comes to an end. How did you score this one?
It was a close one, to be honest. Well, it's a weird one. Like, I feel that rounds 1 and 3 were very close. So that you could have scored them for either man. I thought round 2 was clearly Bobby Green.
Yeah,
But round 1 and 2, you could 1 and 3, you could probably score for either man. With me probably leaning 1 for Green,
yeah,
and then 3 for Moises.
I'd agree with you.
I wouldn't be mad at either. But based on that, you could also necessarily score round 1 and round 3 for Moises, and therefore Moises wins. But you kind of just feel that, like, it's kind of like the Holloway Volkanovski thing again, where, like, Holloway clearly won 2 rounds, the other 3 were fairly close.
Yeah.
You just think on, like, a throw up that Holloway should win that, and the same thing, like, when it comes to chance,
or at
like,
least get one of them. Like it wasn't even a split.
Yeah, it's weird. Like, you just think, based on the probabilities, that 1 would score it for Bobby Green.
Yeah.
And I looked at the scorecards; it was terrible. One of the judges gave Green round 1 and Moises round 2. So what are you going to do?
Yeah,
Judging remains bad. That's
it does.
I think, like, to be fair, like, Moises was in on, like, the leg lock for a while in round 2, but I don't think it wasn't that close. And Green got up and did good work after that, and, like, half dropped him before that. So I don't know. I can't justify round 2 for Moises, but what are you gonna do? Bit sad. Bobby Green probably should have won, but it was a very close fight, so you can't be too mad.
Yeah, this is true. But yeah, not the busiest fight. Yeah, I think, as you said, Green did well in round 2. But yeah, just unlucky with that decision, but it wasn't to be.
I still like watching Bobby Green. I thought,
Yeah,
like,
oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, I don't think
like,
he should go anywhere anytime soon. But
it's very nice, like, good head movement. He does avoid shots well, and he does, like, I like that he works the body quite well.
yeah,
And he's also, like, his side kicks in this were really nice. Like, you'd see Moises kind of, like, start to, like, enter range, and Bobby Green would just completely interrupt his rhythm with, like, the side kick to the knee. Like, you'd see him, like, it would stop Moises, like, dead in his tracks a few times. I thought that was really cool. He used that quite well. So yeah, it was a good performance from Bobby Green. Probably should have got the win, but can't do much about it.
there you go. That is just MMA for you. I don't really need to talk about Hernandez, Gruchmacher. I don't even know how you say his name.
Really brutal knockout.
Yeah, it was a nasty knockout.
He just kind of, like, just athleted on him, didn't he? He was just so much faster, so much more powerful, and it's just absolutely tore him apart, really. Yeah, what you can do. Gruchmacher's, like, not terrible. I think he beat up Joe Lozon. Let me check.
Yeah, it was a nasty one to return to. I think it was his first fight since ACL surgery.
Oh yeah, God, he's been out for 2.5 years. His last fight was against Joe Lozon, where he absolutely battered Lozon. And he got submitted by Taffy Ramos and Chaz Skelly before that. Fair enough. But yeah, like, he's not terrible. It's just that he's not an athlete, and he's 34 now, so he's never going to be. So I feel like he can have fairly maybe fun fights with lower guys, but anyone that's got any kind of athletic ability is probably going to pulverize him. But yeah, it was just a nice, brutal knockout from Hernandez.
Yeah, and for Hernandez, nice to see. Then of course, spoke, and I realised why I don't like Hernandez.
I don't know why you do this to yourself. I have almost a rule that I just never listen to fighters speak. Like,
not even going down the sort of Bryce Mitchell route. Just a very annoying bloke.
Oh, I didn't like. Yeah, I used to, like, when I was, like, first into MMA, I'd watch the press conferences, watch the interviews. But the past year or so, I don't do it to myself. Basically.
No, I don't do it frequently. I just sort of was passing through the fights and was skipping through to the next one, and
Yeah, fair enough.
accidentally walked across 10 seconds of it and swiftly moved on. But yeah,
I
we'll
do
see.
remember the press conference before the Cerrone fight, and he is very
Yeah,
irritating.
yeah, yeah. I mean, good win for him, but like bigger tests to come. And every time he sort of stepped up to, vaguely anywhere near the sort of verge of the rankings, he's not done well. Got battered by Cerrone, battered by Dover, lost that Trinaldo fight, but got given it somehow.
I think we all lost that Trinaldo fight, didn't we?
Yeah.
Anyone that watched that kind of lost that Trinaldo fight.
So it's not really, a whole lot to go off, but we'll see.
About the Dover fight, actually, but yeah, he did get battered by that by Dover in that. Dover looked really good.
He did. Yeah, that's really about it. Unless you had anything else you want to talk about on the prelims, I didn't really catch many of the other fights.
No, I don't think I didn't watch any of the other fights actually.
Perfect. Okay, we'll move to this weekend then, which has got a good main event, I think. Well, I was about to say potentially a number one contender. Doesn't look like it now. We talked about it. We talked about it last week, and then I think about 10 minutes after we stopped recording, it was essentially announced that Adesanya will move up in 2021 to fight Blachowicz. So I thought this was a number one contender, but it probably won't be. But still a good fight.
It's really weird to think that this, it could realistically, whoever wins this fight could sit out and wait for the title shot after. But it's weird to think that Glover Teixeira in 2020 is on the verge of a title shot.
Yeah.
His life, I don't know.
Yeah, 41 years of age.
Yeah.
But on a 4-fight win streak.
He was Glover was kind of coming out of his prime as he got into the UFC. He was maybe still in his prime when he got to the UFC up until John Jones fight, but he's so past it at this point. It's insane that he's doing this well. I don't understand it. I can't explain it, but there you go. He's on the verge of a title shot.
Yeah, I mean, it's I look at his recent fights. bar the Anthony Smith one. It's every fight it looks like he's gonna get knocked out, and he just sort of manages to sort of old man stumble his way into the clinch, and just no one can do anything about it, and just sort of grinds you down.
Yeah, there's been a few where he's been absolutely smashed, and then he just pulverizes them on the ground, just crushes them when he gets them to the ground. And that was Roberson and Kusalaba, and then Smith just tied himself out and got battered. But yeah, really weird. I don't know. It's light heavyweight. I'm not
exactly
totally surprised.
Yeah, I mean, he comes in against Thiago Santos, who has his first fight since at least one, if not double, knee surgery.
Yeah, I think I don't know.
He certainly did damage to both of his knees. I don't know. Comes in, as I said, having lost. I say that in the most inverted of commas against John Jones, because I didn't win that fight. He also had, prior to that, he had his he was unbeaten in the light heavyweights with wins over Anders, Jimmy Manuwa in that absolute slugfest, and and then Jan Blachowicz. I mean, to me, this is a case of Santos is the guy that has the power to finally knock Glover Teixeira out.
Yeah,
many guys have got close to knocking this old man out, and I think Thiago Santos might be the guy.
Yeah, he just could be the guy to do it. I don't know. I probably I lean fairly heavily towards Thiago Santos in this, but anything could happen because Thiago Santos is just an absolute madman.
I mean, no one knows what Thiago Santos is going to do, and I think, to be honest, he himself doesn't really know what he's going to do.
So yeah, he could just be winning the fight, knock Glover down 3 times, and then like throw a tornado kick or some whatever crazy kick and like kick himself in the head and knock himself out. Like that is a genuine possibility.
Yeah.
So no one can call Thiago Santos fights. So yeah, like I imagine he'd knock out Teixeira, but anything can happen. So yeah, how's that for analysis?
How's that? Can the old yeah, as I said, if it gets to the ground, it's a problem because we've seen Glover can hold people down and batter them. I just think I can just see, as you said, Santos maybe getting taken down the first couple of rounds and just throwing some like unorthodox like heel up kick as Teixeira moves in for the clinch and just knock him out. I
Yeah,
think
he'll try to like after double knee surgery, or possibly double. He'll throw an axe kick, which are just like terrible for your knees, and just tear his knees out again. That could also happen.
yeah, so we will see. I think this is one to certainly look back on more than we can provide an answer of because it is there's not really a whole lot that can be said. You can't really analyze Thiago Santos from a fundamentals point of view because he doesn't really have any. And to share it's like we know what he's trying to do. He's just going to try and stumble his way into the clinch, stumble his way to getting to the ground and just sort of wear you down. It'll just be who can sort of get their style going better. And I'm sort of tempted to say that Santos is going to be that person.
Yeah,
and I hope so, to be honest, because
yeah.
I really don't want. I really don't want to see Israel Adesanya versus Glover Teixeira.
No, oh my god. Oh,
Israel Adesanya versus Thiago Santos.
no, I mean,
fine.
Israel Adesanya would style on him still, but
Yeah.
it'd be more interesting, I think.
Exactly. I mean, I was about to say, let's move on, and then proceed to look down the card.
Move on to what, I might ask.
I mean, is there any? I will mention because I don't. I mean, Arlovsky Tanabosa is the co-main. Arlovsky has not looked good in a long minute. Tanabosa, is another guy who's had sort of like a quarantine ascendance. I was about to say resurgence, but I'm not sure that's really the word. Ascendance, really. Knocked out Philip Lindsay and Rafael Pessoa. I think I'd back him to get the job done against Arlovsky. He's a guy that could look good, but equally well, I'm not too interested, and there's not really a whole lot you can say about it.
Yeah. Tanabosa, a heavyweight that moves.
I love it.
That's cool.
Will be. You can, if you're playing a drink game, and to be honest, I might request a bet within the first 30 seconds. Tanabosa's quick feet will be mentioned, or the fact that he moves.
But like he is like a genuinely like kind of not genuine, like a kind of interesting heavyweight. Like he fought in ACB, so he had some tough fights there. So his record's not sparkling because he fought in like another good promotion outside the UFC. But apart from Cyril Gann, who is like a hot prospect, he is undefeated in the UFC. I mean, he's only had 4 fights. He's 3-1. But yeah, it'll be. I hope that he can beat Arlovsky, and then like he'll be a good fighter for maybe the top 10 of heavyweight. Like,
yeah.
See how he does. And like he had a fairly like a competitive enough fight with Gann that you'd say it was interesting. And like so, like Tanabosa against like Derek Lewis I could certainly see a scenario where Bosa just like jabs him up for the whole fight, but then also could see a scenario where he just gets battered and absolutely gets his head knocked off. See, I'd like to see Tanabosa get up for the division because it's heavyweight, and I'd just like to see more half competent people.
Exactly. Yeah, I was going to mention before that the one I sort of got my eye on is Yan Xiaonan, if that's how you pronounce it. Another Chinese fighter in that strawweight division. I remember she put an absolute beating on Karolina Kowalkiewicz. Also beat Angela Hill in a unanimous decision. If I remember correctly, brutal in the clinch. And she looks like someone who could be fun to watch. She comes up against the infamous 1.5 round Claudia Gadelha. So I can very much see this being a case of Xiaonan just coming on in that second and third round and just piecing her together.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. Although I think Godelu's got slightly better at that recently. Maybe slightly improved. We'll see. Although she definitely lost that Angela Hill fight.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That we can agree on. I've just seen Giga Chikadze's on the card.
Yeah,
I wonder if that's a late decision. I think Jamie Simmons, I've just looked up now, is 6-2, making his UFC debut. Strikes me as a late replacement or perhaps a late addition. I mean, Giga Chikadze's always fun to watch.
Yeah, and he fought recently as well. He fought 11th of October.
Yeah, he's going for a 3-0 quarantine run.
Well,
when I say quarantine run now, which, you know, and I think, to be fair, that can be true when we talk about Kevin Holland and Bobby Green, but also this quarantine run is now going on for 6 months. So I think analysing people's records within this quarantine as if it was like a 2-month period and they fought 5 times is perhaps.
Yeah, we were. I think when we first kind of started like this quarantine watch, kind of, we were expecting it to maybe be over.
So maybe you know, but then 3 fights in 6 months is noteworthy.
Yeah. Good enough. We'll give it.
Yeah,
to him.
good enough. He can just about stick into quarantine run, sort of.
Yeah, we'll give it him. He's on a quarantine run.
But yeah, I mean, is there any other fights that you're really looking out for before this?
Let me look it up again.
Brandon
Max
Allen,
Griffin,
Ian Heinisch might not be an awful fight, but I mean, I'm not particularly high on either of them. It will just be a case of seeing where we are next week and try and piece together. But yeah, what sort of as we said, Santos Teixeira, that'll be interesting, and at least it's got some ramifications. Tanner Bose is interesting. Yan Xiaonan, Giga Chikadze. There's a few fights on there to keep an eye out for, but certainly not the best.
No.
To be honest, I think if there's really not much we can make do in terms of discussion. We'll probably wrap it up there.
Yeah, I can't think of any news off the top of my head. So
no, well, yeah, thank you everyone for listening. Yeah, we'll be back in the week to talk about the fights that came on at the weekend. Try and make the best out of that. Looking forward to next week. You got Makhachev RDA, which is nice, but I'm looking down at the rest of that, and it's looking even worse. I mean, this could be up there with the worst card of the year.
Yeah, it's not great. And like you say, Makhachev, we do have Makhachev RDA, but like RDA looks terrible.
We know where that's going.
So like, I don't like RDA hasn't looked good in so long.
Yeah, it's.
He did look decent against Kevin Lee, but he's just not the same. It's not RDA anymore.
Yeah, I think that Chiesa fight was a broken RDA.
Chiesa fight, like Chiesa, he should have battered Chiesa. Yeah, that was like when I fully kind of lost it. Like, right, okay.
Yeah.
Because up until then, he was fighting like genuinely really good fight. Like, I mean, Chiesa's a good fight.
And to be fair, I didn't realize he's got himself down to lightweight for this one.
Yeah, which is first time in ages.
Which is interesting. That'll be interesting to see how that cut affects him.
First time at lightweight since 2016.
Ooh, I'm not really looking.
Yeah,
I'm not really looking to ultra positive, but we'll make the most of it.
Really sure. Since exactly 4 years ago today. Not by the time.
I hadn't even thought about that, to be honest.
The Tony Ferguson.
But yeah, we'll be back to talk about that tomorrow. Well, not tomorrow because the fights haven't happened tomorrow. Next week, and yeah, thanks for listening. Stay safe, and we'll see you soon.
Yeah.